Welcome back, everybody, to Latin's Fight Picks for UFC Fight Night. Allen versus Craig for November 18th, 2023. This week we have an unusual number of fights. Some fights got switched around, but we have 14 fights in total. So lots of fights to go over. A lot of unknowns. This is truly a gambler's delight because there are so many variables, so many unknowns. So be careful with this week's fights. I'm going to make the board, I'm going to make my picks, but these fights are highly volatile and nothing's very certain. I think that even the most certain fights seem uncertain. There's maybe three fights that you can be certain of that I'm certain of, and after that everything just goes downhill. So we're gonna do the best we can. We'll go over the fights, see what you can use, and yeah, I mean, who knows? We might get lucky, right? So, nevertheless, let's get started. As usual, we will go from the opening fights to the main event. So let's get started. First fight, Jekka Seragi versus Lucas Alexander. Jekka Seragi, 5'8", 69-inch reach, 13 wins, 3 losses, 28 years old. Lucas Alexander, 5'8", 73-inch reach, 8 wins, 3 losses, 28 years old. Both these guys are unknowns. Lucas lost a quick fight against Brito. I think he came back and he fought somebody really low end. I can't remember who he was. So we really haven't seen exactly how good Lucas can be. So Jekka Seragi, on the other hand, I mean, he was on the road to the UFC, and he lost against the Indian fighter, what's his name, who I bet against, who got knocked out. What's his name? Anyways, nevertheless, all those guys are very low-end fighters, barely UFC worth kind of fighters. I think that a lot of them were brought in because of the location where they're from. They're from Asia or the Pacific, and they're trying to build up that market. Jekka Sergi is a very dangerous fighter. He's doesn't have a lot of good ground skills unless he's improved them in the last little while. Actually, he has been improving them, and the last fight he lost because he was ground and pounded. But he showed actually a big improvement from the first time you see this guy in the road to the UFC. Lucas Alexander, I mean, we just haven't seen very much of Lucas Alexander. I mean, he fought Brito and he got destroyed by Brito, and he destroyed a guy who was very low end. He should have destroyed. I think it was what's his face. It was that he's not even in the UFC anymore. So nevertheless, this fight is crazy odds, minus 575 for Lucas Alexander, plus 400 to Seragi. Seragi has a puncher's chance on this one, but it's hard to tell. I mean, Lucas Alexander is a high probability pick, and yet there's a lot of danger because we haven't seen very much for either one of these guys. And I think just Seragi is just not UFC level, but he's very dangerous. He's a Muay Thai fighter, very dangerous strikes, and most of his fights that he does win, he wins by KO. So, nevertheless, moving on. Lucas Alexander will be the pick. High degree of confidence, possibly a parlay buster. Moving on, Charles Johnson versus Rafael Estevan. Charles Johnson, 5'9", 70-inch reach, 32 years old, 13 wins, 5 losses. Rafael Estevan, 5'8", 69-inch reach, 11 wins, 0 losses, 27 years old. Charles Johnson, we know what we're going to get. He's very consistent. I would say that he's, well-rounded fighter. He finds a way to lose. He seems like he's more talented than he lets on. And yeah, I mean, he always seems to do almost enough. And a lot of times we're impressed with how close he gets with really good fighters. Rafael Estevan, I mean, what do we really know? He's a grappler. He hasn't lost. I saw him on the Contender Series. I wasn't impressed with his win. I thought he was a good grappler. I don't know how he's going to be like on the feet. I don't think he's fought the level of competition as Johnson. Johnson's the underdog in this one. I think he's got a good get-up game. I think he can really wear down Estevan if Estevan keeps trying to take him down and hold him down. I don't know if Johnson can score enough when he's on the feet to make up the difference, but Johnson can get back up in his feet. I don't know if Esteban's going to have enough cardio. If he does, he could squeak out a victory. But I have a feeling Johnson is UFC level. Esteban is possibly UFC level. I'm going to go with the underdog Johnson. Sorry, there's not going to be a lot to these. They're just so close. You'll see on the board when we go over the board. It'll make more sense of how I've structured it. But Johnson's going to be the pick. There's not a lot of info on Esteban, and what I did see from him, he seems good on the ground. It's hard to say anything else. And Johnson, he's got good takedown defense. It's good get up defense. Sometimes better than others. And hopefully he's not arrogant and walks around like he should be winning the fight when he should be trying harder. And that's the thing with Johnson. I think he just thinks he's better than he is. But I think he's going to win this fight. Moving on. Trey Ogden versus Nicholas Mota. Trey Ogden, 5'11", 72-inch reach, 16 wins, 6 losses, 33 years old. Nicholas Mota, 5'9", 70-inch reach, 13 wins, 5 losses, 30 years old. This is a battle of the underachievers. Trey Ogden, he always looks slow and low volume and ineffective. And yet sometimes you'll see flashes of good takedowns. And sometimes you'll see a good jab and good kicks and smart fight IQ. And it's hard to say which Trey Ogden's going to show up. And it happens who is he fighting against, right? And I think he's a very strong fighter. He's mentally strong. He does what he does. And I think it all depends what the other guy does. So he could win. I don't think he wins by knockout. He usually wins by sub or decision. Nicholas Mota, he wins by knockout. I think he loses by knockout too. I don't think he gets subbed. He's going to be a little smarter, a little less reach. I think he's going to be the faster fighter. Ogden does have a good jab. He's going to have to keep him on the outside. And once in a while, Ogden will try to take him down. Nicholas Mota seems like he's got pretty good takedown defense. And I just think Nicholas Mota is going to be the busier fighter and landing more strikes. And he's going to take this decision. That's what I think. But there's a part of me that's saying Ogden will pull one of his upset victories like he did against Zellhuber and win this split decision by just doing enough against Mota. But Mota is going to be the pick. But Ogden is definitely live. It depends how much Ogden wants it. And I think he's at the tail end of his career, possibly. I don't know if he's going to get cut from the UFC. I don't know if he's got other things going on in his life. It's really hard to tell. Mota's going to be the pick. Very low confidence. Trey Ogden does have a path to victory, and he has shown that out of the blue, he'll just come up with it. Moving on. Lucy Pudilova versus Aylin Perez. Lucy Pudilova, 5'8", 67.5-inch reach, 14 wins, 8 losses, 29 years old. Aylin Perez, 5'5", 66-inch reach, 8 wins, 2 losses, 29 years old. I picked Pudilova the last fight when she fought Edwards. I thought she won. She's very low output on the feet. When she started the UFC, she was a striker. Now she seems to be more of a kind of a wrestler, but she's not that good of a wrestler. But the people, depends on who she's fighting against. Aylin Perez, I wasn't that impressed when she first got into the UFC, although I really see a lot of dog in her. She really tries hard. She's got a good gas tank. She's really stout. Normally, I don't like the fighters that short, but it makes it work for her. And believe it or not, she does land a lot of punches. She gets in, and she lands punches, and she gets in the clinch, and she's very strong. I think Perez is going to win this fight. I think she's going to outland Pudilova. I think she's going to get inside on Pudilova. I think Pudilova's advantage on the ground is going to be non-existent because I think Perez is going to be stronger in those positions and a better grappler. And Pudilova is going to have to keep it at range. And I don't think she's that good of a striker either. And Perez is very tricky and she's very determined and she'll get inside on that. So I'm pretty sure Perez is going to win on this. Mid-range confidence on this for Perez. Moving on, Mick Parkin versus Chow Machado. Mick Parkin, 6'4", 79-inch reach, 7 wins, 0 losses, 28 years old. Chow Machado, 6'4", 78-inch reach, 8 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 29 years old. Mick Parkin, I really like the way his striking looked. Apparently he's got a submission under his belt, but he seems like he's a good striker. Um, he fought Pogues, and he's got a good gas tank. Just a smart boxer. Chal Machado, when he first came on at the Contender Series, he looked terrible. Big looping punches. He fought a guy who wouldn't even fight back. I mean, it was you didn't even see anything because the guy he fought with just didn't do anything. I watched him on the regional scene. It seemed like he's got some decent strikes and he's got some good counters, but the guys he was fighting were really low end strikers. So he has managed to catch a few guys. He doesn't seem like he could take people down really well, but he kind of ends up tripping them or falling on top of them, and he's got some submission skills. I don't think that's going to happen with Mick Parkin. I think Mick Parkin's going to keep it on the feet. I think he's going to dominate. Mick Parkin's going to be the pick. Dennis Tulin versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Dennis Tulin just took this fight a couple days ago because Cesar Almeida is out. Dennis Tulin, 6'1", 77-inch reach, 10 wins, 8 losses, 35 years old. Christian Leroy Duncan, 6'2", 79-inch reach, 8 wins, 1 loss, 28 years old. Dennis Tulin, very good striker. I don't think he's going to have a good gas tank for this. He's never had a good gas tank, although he's improved it. He doesn't even have a full camp. I think he's going to gas after the first round. Christian Leroy Duncan has a path to victory. He just has to grind and take down Tulin. He does just maybe even avoid him in the first round and then take him down. I mean, high probability pick. Christian Leroy Duncan should be able to take Dennis Tulin unless he has a mental breakdown, decides he's just going to strike with him and give Tulin a chance in the first round to possibly knock him out. Christian Leroy Duncan's going to be the pick on this one. Fairly straightforward. Chad Anheliger versus Jose Johnson. Chad Anheliger, 5'6", 64-inch reach, 12 wins, 6 losses, 36 years old. Jose Johnson, 6 foot tall, 71-inch reach, 15 wins, 8 losses, 28 years old. I picked Jose Johnson last time to upset Blackshear when Blackshear took the fight on short notice, and Jose Johnson got destroyed on the ground. He had some moments on the feet. He's really rangy. He has been knocked out before. Chad Anheliger, I think his path to victory is going to be takedowns. If he has enough to be able to take Jose Johnson down, Jose Johnson does have a little bit of takedown defense. Chad Anheliger is not a great takedown guy. I don't know if it's going to happen. Chad Anheliger is really tricky. He's grindy. He's tough, and he's got a power shot. He's got a powerful hand, so he has a chance of a KO. Jose Johnson has been KO'd. And it's one of those things. I'm going to go with Jose Johnson, just because of his 7-inch reach advantage. He should be able to keep it on the feet. Chad Anheliger is getting a little older. He's a Calgary guy. I'm rooting for him. 36 years old. We'll see how he does. But he is a grinder. He's hard to get out of there. And in between the scrambles, he might be able to take Jose Johnson down. I don't know if he can't keep him down. Jose Johnson's going to be the pick, but this is also a possible parlay buster where Chad Anheliger lands a good punch and knocks out Johnson. So keep that in mind. Moving on. Jonathan Pierce versus Johanderson Brito. Jonathan Pierce, 6 feet tall, 71-inch reach, 14 wins, 4 losses, 31 years old. Johanderson Brito, 5'8", 72-inch reach, 15 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 28 years old. Pierce is going to be the taller fighter. Here's the thing. Brito is way better than Pierce. It's just a matter of, does Brito have the gas tank? If Brito has the gas tank, he's going to be able to beat Pierce. He's going to be outlanding him on strikes. On the ground, he's going to outpower him in those wrestling and the grappling positions. Brito's going to be way too strong for him. Jonathan Pierce's only path to victory is to keep this going into the later rounds, and hopefully Brito tires out. Because Brito is very explosive, but has been known to slow down. If his gas tank is in check, he's going to dominate Pierce. He's the underdog. I'm going to go with Brito. He's the more talented fighter. Jonathan Pierce has a wet blanket. I'm going to take you down and lie on top of you, kind of like Sabatini style. He has some striking. He's not great. Brito's got him beat everywhere. Just a matter of, does he have the gas tank? If he does have the gas tank, he's going to beat Pierce. Pierce is not going to submit him. Pierce is not going to knock him out. Pierce can just outpoint him, That's what I see. Brito's going to be the pick. And he's the underdog, so great. This fight got switched out just this week. Uros Medic versus Mitkib Mutkubet Moralbe. Mutkubet Moralbe, 5'10", 75.5-inch reach, 11 wins, 1 draw, 25 years old. Uros Medic, 6'1", 71-inch reach, 9 wins, 1 draw, 30 years old. Medic was supposed to be fighting a striker, now he's fighting a guy who's mostly a grappler. Although Urabai can strike a little bit, Uros Medic is going to be the better striker. Urabai is going to be the grappler. He's not going to want to keep it on the feet. And Medic is the underdog here now, and he was the favorite. You know what? Again, it's one of those things. This guy's brand new. We don't really know a lot about him. We know he's a decent striker. We know he's good on the ground. We know he's a very strong wrestler. Uros Medic has lost in a grappling kind of dominant event with what's that tarantula? What's his name? Can't remember him now. Mental fart. There you go. Can't remember. Jalen Turner. Yeah, Jalen Turner beat him and he choked him out. But it was a choke out after he got stung with a punch. When he was on the ground, he was fighting him off and he was getting up on the feet. You know what? Uros Medic is the underdog. Urabai is the favorite. If Urabai keeps going with the wrestling, he might be able to win this. We haven't seen Urabai at the UFC level of competition. We haven't seen Uros Medic with a really good wrestler either. So we don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm going to go with the guy with the more experience in the UFC, Uros Medic. Even, the only drawback is the fact that he was training for a striker. So it's very up in the air, very low confidence. I'm going to go with Uros Medic on this. He's the underdog. But it's going to be a tough fight for him. Moving on, Luana Pinheiro, 5'2", versus Amanda Ribas. Luana Pinheiro, 5'2", 62.5-inch reach, 11 wins, 1 draw, 30 years old. Amanda Ribas, 5'3", 66-inch reach, 11 wins, 4 losses, 30 years old. You know, this is a split decision type fight. Realistically, Amanda Ribas should easily win this fight. She's a decent striker. She's good on the ground. She's going to be better on the ground than Pinheiro. She's going to be able to outland Pinheiro. But Pinheiro's got a really strong punch. She's got KO power. And Amanda Ribas is one of the few ladies that have been KO'd a couple times. But in her defense, she's been KO'd on the ground by a much bigger, stronger lady. And then she's been KO'd on the feet by Rodriguez, where she shouldn't have been hanging out in the pocket. And she's a really good striker. So that's the thing, is Pinheiro's got the knockout power. Amanda Ribas has got a questionable chin. But as far as skills, Amanda Ribas will dominate this fight, skill for skill. I'm going to go with Amanda Ribas. If she doesn't get knocked out, she's going to win this fight. So yeah, and this is one of the few cases where she's actually taller and got a bigger reach. The only thing is she's coming down to 115, and she's traditionally had a problem with going down to 115. She's too small for 125. You know, she's too muscular for 115. Depending on how her weight cut goes, she should be able to win this. I'm going to go with Amanda Ribas. Moving on, Peyton Talbot versus Nick Aguirre. Peyton Talbot, 5'10", 70-inch reach, 6 wins, 0 losses, 25 years old. Nick Aguirre, 5'9", 74-inch reach, 7 wins, 1 losses, 27 years old. Man, this Peyton Talbot kid, he looks great, very powerful. He takes a lot of shots, but he's got a fantastic chin. I don't know how long that's going to last, but he does take a really good shot. He's got great striking. He's fluid. He's got great takedown defense. He's a wrestler. He can take people down. He's very durable. He's a good grappler. He's a good wrestler. Nick Aguirre, 5'9", 74-inch reach. He's a good grappler. This is the best grappler that Peyton's ever faced, even though he got blown out by Agueda, who is a really good wrestler, which is the total right recipe to be a really, really good grappler. And Nick Aguirre took that fight on short notice. Nick Aguirre is the tallest guy that Peyton Talbot has fought, longest reach. Um, you know, he's got okay striking. I mean, he's obviously not going to be able to compete with Talbot on the feet. His path to victory is going to be to have to take Talbot on the ground. Talbot got a great gas tank. He's the kind of guy that gets knocked out in the second and third round. If Aguirre gasses, he's going to get knocked out. I mean, there's a high degree of probability that Talbot's going to knock this guy out. But there is the wild card parlay buster chance that Nick Aguirre can submit Peyton Talbot. And he hasn't been submitted before, but Nick Aguirre does have decent grappling. And when he's on the ground, we just never know, right? So it's going to be a high degree of confidence that Talbot's going to win. Aguirre is going to be the best grappler he's ever faced. Tallest guy, longest reach, those long lanky arms for chokes. You know, going to go with Talbot, but this is a high degree of confidence. But this is such an iffy fight. Talbot's first fight in the UFC. We've seen things go wrong before. So, yeah, parlay buster for Aguirre, high degree of confidence bet for Talbot. Moving on, Chase Hooper versus Jordan Levitt. Chase Hooper, 6'1", 74-inch reach, 12 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. 24 years old. Jordan Levitt, 5'9", 71-inch reach, 11 wins, 2 losses, 28 years old. Chase Hooper moved up to lightweight. He looks much better. He's getting older. He's filling out. Doesn't look like a little kid anymore. I mean, he's got fast hands. He's a good striker. He could take a lot of punishment. He could take a lot of strikes. He takes too many strikes because he doesn't have great defense, but he seems to weather it. He's good on the ground. He's got decent grappling. He's really tough on the ground because he's so long, and he just wraps around people. Now he's moving up to lightweight. He's not as long compared to everyone else. So everyone's going to Chase Hooper. He's the big favorite. Jordan Levitt, you know, strong striking. He's getting better at the striking. He's not a great strong striker, but he seems very effective. And if he can't strike you, he's going to kick you. But in this case, you know, he is going to be shorter reach, but he just finds a way. He's been in this situation where he's had a shorter reach, and he fought Ogden, and he just managed to kick Ogden's leg. And this is when he was actually not as good a striker. And he just kept kicking Ogden's leg and kicking it, and he just finds a way to win. This guy's actually pretty tricky to fight, and you know, he's not much to look at, but when he's on the ground, he's a very strong grappler, and I think it's got a lot to do with he's a lot stronger than people think on the ground. And I think Chase Hooper is not as strong. He's pretty good on the ground. I don't think he's got a lot of strength. I think if they go on the ground, Jordan Levitt, even if they're equal in grappling, I think Jordan Levitt will get the better of it because of his strength. I think he's a lot stronger than he looks. And I think Chase Hooper is not as strong as him. I think on the feet, Chase Hooper should have an advantage because of the reach. I think Jordan Levitt will be tricky. I think he'll be able to land and strike and basically get points. Even though Chase Hooper realistically should win this fight, I just have this feeling Jordan Levitt's going to be able to pull this off. And don't know why. I just think in those transitions, Jordan Levitt's going to be the stronger guy in the clinch. He's going to be the stronger guy on the ground, and he's going to be able to win a close decision against Chase Hooper. He is the underdog too. Moving on, Michael Morales versus Jake Matthews, co-main event. Michael Morales' first co-main event, I think. I mean, they really want to build up this guy, and he's good, he's strong. Okay, let's go over it. He's 6 feet tall, 79-inch reach, 15 wins, 0 losses, 24 years old. Jake Matthews, 5'11", 73-inch reach, 19 wins, 6 losses, 29 years old. Michael Morales, he's big, he's strong, he's got really long arms, got a good jab, he's pretty decent on the ground. Not super great, but decent, good takedown defense. He wants to keep it striking. He's got a really strong chin, sometimes takes too many shots. You know, he's going to fight Jake Matthews. I mean, which Jake Matthews is going to show up? You know, he can look like a world beater, or he can get dominated. I mean, when he was fought in Semmelsberger, I had bet on Matthews. Matthews was winning the fight, and every once in a while, Semmelsberger would tag him and win the round. And that's the thing. is he is a little chinny. If Morales can hit it, he can hurt him, and he can steal these rounds. Jake Matthews really dangerous on the ground. Morales has got pretty good takedown defense, and it's going to be a back and forth fight. Morales is a pretty big favorite. I just think Morales is on the way up. I think Jake Matthews is on the way down. I think there's too many questions with Jake Matthews, even though he can turn around and take all the punches and maybe take this guy to the ground and outpoint him. I just don't see it anymore with Jake Matthews. He's still young. They're about the same size except for the reach. Morales is going to be able to take a lot of punishment, and I think Matthews does have fast hands. He can land some strong punches. I think Morales is going to be able to eat him. Or I think the other way around, Matthews will not be able to eat him. And that's where the difference is going to be. I don't think Matthews is going to be able to take him down. I think Morales is pretty strong, even on the ground. Again, Matthews being the better technical person on the ground. I'm going to go with Michael Morales on this one. Again, one of those parlay buster things. I mean, depends which Jake Matthews shows up. And if he doesn't get tagged, what happens? Does he win a few striking exchanges? Does he take it to the ground and get some points and possibly win a round? Michael Morales has a high degree of confidence, but Jake Matthews does have some freaky paths to victory, and he's been so up and down. You just never know what's going to happen with this guy. But Morales is going to be the pick. Moving on to the main event, Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig. Brendan Allen, 6'2", 75-inch reach. 22 wins, 5 losses, 27 years old. Paul Craig, 6'3", 76-inch reach, 17 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw, 35 years old. Paul Craig, I mean, he's at the peak of his career. He's not going to get any better. Brendan Allen has been getting better. His stand-up has been getting really good. Last time he knocked out, what's his name? Anyways, the Brazilian guy who I didn't expect him to KO him like that, even though he was getting tagged. He took the punches, he came back, and he ended up knocking him out. I mean, he's really improved his striking, and he's good on the ground. He's dangerous on the ground. Everyone thinks he's going to win. He's a huge favorite. Paul Craig moving down from light heavy to middleweight. I mean, he's always been, how can I put it? He's always susceptible to good strikers. And he's always been the guy that's live for a finish. Now he's fighting a guy who's good on the ground as well. And he's got pretty good takedowns. And Paul Craig's got pretty good takedowns. I don't know if there's a real huge advantage. I think Brendan Allen might be the better grappler. I think Paul Craig's got better submissions. Brendan Allen has really improved his striking. So he could be the better, cleaner striker. Paul Craig's strong, and he's used to facing power from a lot heavier weight class. And he's beaten a lot of really good guys just out of the blue. I mean, this is going to be, and this is the main event. This is where I'm going to pick both, because I've, learned my lesson with the main events. I'm going to pick both in the actual event. I think Brendan Allen's going to win this. He should win this. Paul Craig's always live for that crazy submission. He submitted bigger guys. He submitted better guys. He submitted Krylov. He submitted Ankalaev. I mean, he has submitted bigger, better competition than Brendan Allen. But in all those fights, Craig was losing, and then he won. So that's how it has to go down for Craig. Otherwise, Allen's going to be able to win this. Brendan Allen should win it. Paul Craig's he's live. Huge underdog, too. So let's go over the board real quick. Okay, once again, not financial advice. Bet only what you can afford to lose. Anything can happen, especially in this card this week. It's crazy. So we're going to go over the board from most confident to least confident. This is my picks. You can take what you need from this board, see if it agrees with what your assessment is. Make your own parlays or use something from mine, or however you want to do it, or bet them individually. But I'm just going to give you a heads up on a lot of this stuff. Highest degree of confidence, Talbot, he's minus 800. He should win. Do I call it a parlay buster? Yes. This is the kind of event that this guy's coming in brand new into the UFC. I mean, who knows how he's going to be, if he's going to be nervous. Aguirre plus 500 parlay buster. Yeah, one wrong move, this guy can end up getting submitted. Talbot can get submitted by Aguirre. So I would be careful. I wouldn't even bet this. Minus 800 is ridiculous. I'm going to take my own advice on this one as well. Next up, Alexander versus Sergey. Alexander is going to be the UFC level. I don't think Sergey's UFC level. I don't think Alexander's been tested, so we really haven't seen him at the UFC level, because the only guy he's beat is not UFC level, is not in the UFC. Sergey's live for the knockout, 100%. This guy's dangerous. High degree of confidence, possible parlay buster. These big numbers, every betting house, gambling house is looking for one of these guys to be upset and ruin all these parlays. Anyways, moving on. Parkin, high degree of confidence. He should be able to beat the guy from Canada. Unfortunately, I'm rooting for the guy for Canada, but Parkin should be the much cleaner striker. Keep it on the feet and win this fight. Morales versus Matthews. Again, high degree of confidence. Parlay buster. Just don't know with Matthews. Matthews good on the ground. He's good on the feet. He's fast. I think Morales is going to be able to take most of his punches, but are they going to do enough damage where he steals rounds? On the ground, is Matthews going to be able to be on the ground and control enough to steal rounds? You just never know. Morales, this is the biggest test for Morales. Even though I like him, he's really strong. He does take a lot of shots, right? Possibility of a club and sub. It's always there. Parlay buster. Be careful of these ones. Leroy Duncan, he should be able to win. He just needs to fight a smart game plan. Tulin is coming in. He's going to come in. Sorry. at the try hang up the phone. So moving on. Leroy Duncan should win the fight. Perez, mid-level, she should win this fight. I think they put her up against the fighter that she could beat. Ribas, she should win this fight apart from getting knocked out. Moving on, Jose Johnson minus 200. This again, maybe I'm grasping at it because he's from Calgary. He does have knockout power. And Helliger, I put him as a parlay buster. Johnson should be able to win. I don't know why. I just have this feeling that he does have that KO power where he could upset it. Moving on, Brito. He is the first underdog play. He should be able to win this. I can't see Pierce beating this guy unless this guy gasses. Levitt. I think he's going to be stronger in the clinches, in the ground, and he's an okay striker. He's getting better. I think he's going to see some improvements as well. Levitt's going to be the play. He's the underdog. Moving on to 50 plus. Charles Johnson versus Estevan. Charles Johnson's going to be the pick, and this is the 50 plus. These ones, you could flip them easily. It's just one of those things. When you get to this level, this is a coin flip. I'm going to go with Charles Johnson. He is the underdog over Estevan. He's got the UFC experience. He's the underdog. I'd rather take him. I'm going to go with Medic, UFC experience. He is the underdog. I'm going to take him. But these guys are super live. Moda, I'm going to take him. But my gut is telling me that Ogden might be able to pull this off like he did against Zellhuber. Again, going to be the slight lean, but this guy is so live. Moving on, 50-50, Alan Craig. I'm picking Alan. I'm going to go both ways on mine just because of my experience with these main events. So yeah, there you go. Take what you can from this. Hopefully you get some information. This was a tough card to analyze. By all means, do your own research. Take what we agree on. Make individual bets or parlays, however you like. All right, there we go. Thank you very much for joining me. Next week, we'll go over the recap. This is going to be entertaining, right? This is, who knows? This card is a truly who knows. But yeah, that's the best I can do with this card. So hopefully you get something out of it, and we'll go over the recap next week. Good luck, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified for when the videos do come out, because I do randomly put them out. I don't have a consistent schedule. Please leave a comment below. It helps with the algorithm. Let me know what you think. I'd like to see, compared to what I picked, let me know your thoughts. Thank you very much for joining me. We'll see you next week. Good luck, everybody.